U.S.-Iran ceasefire is under pressure this morning as American forces launch retaliatory strikes near the Strait of Hormuz. And President Trump is now warning that the U.S. may have to finish what they started if Iran continues to strike. Trey Yingst is live in Tel Aviv with the very latest. Good morning, Trey.
Charlie, good morning. Overnight, the United States launched a new round of strikes against Iran in response to the IRGC targeting yet another oil tanker. According to U.S. Central Command, a variety of different targets were hit, including military surveillance systems, infrastructure belonging to their communication systems, air defense sites, drone storage facilities, and mine-laying capabilities. The president posted to Truth Social shortly after the strike saying United States aircraft just struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and coastal radar sites for violating the ceasefire agreement again. It is very possible that they will never learn. The president goes on to say there may come a point when we are no longer able to be reasonable and will be forced to militarily complete the job that we very successfully started. If that happens, the Islamic Republic of Iran will be no longer. Now, in response, Iran launched missiles and drones toward Kuwait and Bahrain. This was the second exchange of fire this weekend between the United States and Iran. Vice President Vance posted to X over the weekend saying Iran signed a ceasefire agreement. We have honored it. If they have disagreements about how the MOU is being applied, they can pick up the phone, but violence will be met with violence. The new military action comes as the situation between Israel and Hezbollah plays out on a separate but parallel track. The Israelis striked over the weekend a number of Hezbollah positions in southern Lebanon in response to attacks on their forces. Now, late last week, there was a diplomatic breakthrough in Washington as the Israelis and Lebanese signed a framework agreement aimed at normalizing ties between the two countries and disarming Hezbollah.
These were intense talks, difficult talks, but we arrived at an agreement, the framework agreement, which will allow for the achievement of a full peace agreement between our two countries.
While there is some movement on the front in Lebanon, there are questions about if the technical talks between the United States and Iran will resume this week as scheduled with this new exchange of fire over the weekend. Charlie?
Thank you, Trey. And with that, our weekday host, Brian Kilmeade, joins me now. So, Brian, what do you make of all that we've seen over the past 48 hours in the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, it comes down to this. We were not going to allow them to charge and toll in the Strait. We're not going to allow them to hit ships. We made that clear. The problem is Iran believes the MOU says they can control it for 60 days and start charging after 60 days. So when that was put in writing, that was just basically a clash waiting to happen. And now they say they are not going to. Oman says we're not going to meet with Iran. That's their thing. Oman and Iran have already met. They're setting up a toll and fee system right now. So within 60 days, they're going to start charging ships in international waters. It's cataclysmic for everybody's budget. It would give Iran something almost equal to a nuclear weapon. So they'll be able to control what comes in and out of the Strait, the price of gas, and they'll be able to leverage that. Now, the Gulf states got to make a decision. Saudi Arabia and Qatar are setting up a meeting of reconciliation with Iran. Really? They were just bombing you for no reason at all. Now, Bahrain and Kuwait and UAE is saying, no, we're with the U.S., and they're being targeted because of that. Looming out there also is Israel, ready to go if we need them. I think that by Tuesday, Wednesday, this is going to be nonstop escalation, and that's, I think, where we're heading. And fundamentally, it's because in the MOU, there is so much gray area. Iran is taking advantage of that.
I want to get to some questions about soccer, but real quickly, is it your feeling that we may not actually get back to the negotiating table?
If they continue to shoot at merchant ships, it doesn't matter what's going on behind closed doors, because we're going to respond militarily. It's an automatic reaction. They were the last ones to hit Bahrain, and they said they hit 9 targets. That has not been confirmed. As you know, Iran is great at making things up. Right. So we're in a situation where they could be saying what they want, but if that strait it gets hindered and things get stuck, it doesn't matter what they're saying behind closed doors.
Right. Okay, I want to turn to this. So the next knockout round for FIFA has been set for the World Cup. The USA faces Bosnia-Herzegovina, I think, on Wednesday. So what are you looking for, and who in this round is going to be our biggest challenge?
Well, I mean, first get through the first ever round of 32. Why? Because it's the first time we had a 48-team tournament. Usually it is 32. So we're going to be in a 32 and round, and this is the third place team from the other bracket. They were 1-1-1. They're good, but they're young, and they have less experience in the World Cup than we do in getting past this. Now, I really do expect us to win. I think it'll be tough. They play a lot of long balls, very direct, very physical, which is pretty much right up our alley. We put back our starting 11. We go in there hard. We play with the same poise. I think we'll be successful in Santa Clara and getting over to the round of 16. And I think waiting straight ahead, ultimately, people play it out practically if there are no upset. Argentina in the final. Before that, it'll be Belgium. And before that, it'll be Spain. So these are tough teams that will be underdog to. This team we're not an underdog to. And I know you also pointed out to why we got here. A lot has to do with the coaching and the belief in America from an Argentinian who's 54 years old and was a fantastic player and is an approved coach. But he loves the red, white, and blue. He understands our culture as good as any American coach we've ever had, and he's saying, why not us? Why not us? Why can't we do it? Morocco got to the semifinals. South Korea got to the semifinals. They weren't expected to be here. We have 11 players playing internationally. Look at what we're doing in the first two games. The whole world, not just American press, the whole world is writing about the quality, not the results, the quality of the American team. And that has so much to do with the coach who uses those hydration breaks to plot and plan new strategies, which are the difference in these one-goal games.
Well, and of course, there are a lot of hands involved in getting that coach to coach for us. I want to read you a headline from the New York Post. We've fallen hard for a Team USA coach Mauricio Pochettino, but a billionaire backer is the country's real soccer hero. Ken Griffin, billionaire here in New York, often vilified by the left, agreed to put up a lot of money, we don't know exactly how much, to make sure that we got a world-class coach. What does that say about all this?
It says, look, we had a coach, an American coach, Greg Berhalter, whose son is a fantastic player on the team right now, who was a fantastic player, but he just wasn't getting it done. He was maybe too friendly with the players and maybe not much of a taskmaster, so they had to make a move. To get an international coach with this type of acclaim, you need money. That's out of U.S. soccer's realm. So they got guys like Arthur Blank and Ken Griffin to write some checks, a $1 or $2 million bonus to come aboard and straighten things out. So this guy cares about soccer. So that's the same guy that gives the money to Sloan Kettering and to millions of dollars to all great charities, especially in New York, that Mayor Mamdani minimizes and wants to tax right out of New York. Meanwhile, he's saying, wouldn't it be great for soccer to be better for us to get a world-class coach? And he has so much to do with this. And I think about Arthur Blank, one of the founders of Home Depot, who wrote a $50 million check to build that fantastic facility over in Atlanta. It's people who care about the country, care about sports, want this to grow, and they don't want credit. All they want to do is see the team be as successful as possible.
Yeah, unlike you and me, we just want all the credit. So what's coming up on One Nation?
Mostly Griff. Yeah. All right, so coming up on One Nation, we got James Blair to break it all down. We got Joe Manchin to talk about what happened to his party. I got Taylor Twellman, DeMarcus Beasley didn't make the trip, but Taylor Twellman, a national team player, he is going to be on the show and one of the finest commentators ever. Larry Kudlow will tell us where we're going economically with these stops and starts with oil and gas. Also coming up on Fox Nation, Fox Nation coming up on July 11th. I'll be back on stage, History, Liberty, and Laughs, and I'll be doing that streaming at about 8 o'clock on July 11th. So hopefully people have a chance to see us there. And in the fall, I got a whole bunch of dates, including Westbury, New York.
You will make yourself available to the public to get all the credit. Brian Kilmeade, thank you for getting up with us this morning.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.